Thank you. Good morning, Madam Speaker. Good morning to the Honourable House. I first would like to start my presentation today by taking care of some house cleaning matters, basically to deal with the leader of the opposition when he delivered what he claims was a response to the Prime Minister's budget. But, Madam Speaker, as usual, I must correct some of the misinformation. The leader of the opposition gave, first of all, I support the Prime Minister's, the national budget as presented by our Prime Minister. And, Madam Speaker, before I go into the house clean matters, I must say, Madam Speaker, this is one time in my whole life, and Madam Speaker, I lived a little bit of my life already, that I would not like to be in opposition. And the reason for that, Madam Speaker, is the budget as presented by the Prime Minister. This is one of our best budgets. I'm not going to lie.
Yes,
I mean, we have all presented very good budgets, but this one really and truly is a difficult one to speak or to have an alternative budget for, given the times in which we live. So I really feel your pain, sir, the leader of the opposition. I feel your pain. However, and members, of course. However, but let's clear up some of the misinformation. The leader of the opposition targeted the Roseau Valley firstly by wanting to abolish the geothermal project. I was stunned at that, to be honest with you. As someone, wanting to be a leader one day, God will not forbid that, of course, God forbid, to really come based on the level of investment that we have, placed on this project already, to come and say to the nation that you would stop this project. And you spoke about wind, solar, and hydro. But, leader of the opposition, that was total madness on your part, and I think you should apologize to the nation for such a statement, to be honest with you, and the people of the Roseau Valley, because they'll not forget you for that. The people of the Roseau Valley understand the importance of the geothermal project to them, the valley being the energy nerve in Dominica, of course. We have gone through with the hydro program many years ago. It's supplying us about 35% electricity. We have gone on, we know what it is with fossil fuel. We don't produce it. And last time we were drilling the production wells in Loda and throughout the Roseau Valley, we never noticed any form of the crude coming from there. So we don't have oil. We know that for a fact. But you said you'd abolish it, you'd bring on solar. I mean, you understand the terrain of Dominica, you understand the climatic conditions, how much sun we have per day and all of that, and the cycle. Obviously, you weren't thinking well. Also, in terms of the wind and the wind current and whatnot, where the wind is going to pass through Dominica, we don't have that among. You'll get some on the hills and whatnot, but Dominica is not a very, very windy country. Mark you, hold on, listen. I'm pure science on this program. Yeah, listen to that. Because I want you all fellows to understand it, and I know you all will understand it. No. You can speak of wind and whatnot, not bad, you can have a little thing in your backyard and whatnot, but to run this country, we need more than just what you're thinking of. You are blessed per capita, and Dominica being a country where you have probably the most mountains, I want to call them most little hot spots. I wouldn't call them volcanoes, but that's where they came from. You are blessed per capita with the most in the world almost. And you have this potential and you have the resource, and you want to abandon it and abolish it. It's clean. Something is wrong with you, sir. And I beg that you go back to the drawing board. Based on the investment we have carried out to date, and they all listed here, and the Prime Minister spoke about them, we have, government, we have contributed at least $40.5 million. This is not a joke. This is not no pie in the sky program, as you spoke about for a number of them. We have a lot of grant funding, $30 million from the government of the United Kingdom. We had about a 5.4 from the government of New Zealand, and SIDS-DOC at $2 million. I wouldn't go on with all of these figures because the Prime Minister read them on today. And of course, there's even money for future drilling. So let's club this one as a mistake, and the people of the valley, they're actually waiting for an apology for having made a statement like that in terms of the geothermal project, because they see it as their bread and their future. When we were discussing the geothermal project, and of course you all know what you all did in terms of trying to mount campaigns against it. I think you're quite aware of it in the early days, but you have failed. And you have failed. And we know what's going to happen for the people in the Roseau Valley in terms of the fund they'll put up for their development and their social well-being. So do not do that to the Roseau Valley. I beg of you to correct that mistake. This is one. You went on to speak about feeder roads, and this government is doing poorly on that. That's so sad. As we speak, you have the BAM road, some of them in your area and some of your areas as well too. we have the feeder roads, and we have a number of different lots. And the feeder roads are going to come up to 7.5 million euros, and we can convert that into 21 million EC dollars. This is a lot of money. And we're going to be doing various lots. I'm sure the Minister of Agriculture will elaborate more, but just to clear it up as well, to give you the context of the development plan of this government, we are looking at 1, 2, 3 lots. And I'll name them again for the nation to hear. The Syndicate and the Salisbury Road, that's lot 1. We have the Bois, Belleville, Frial, Tigran 4, Mountain, Middle Region, Calibishi Road, that's lot 2. And we have the Melvinol and the Colliho Road in lot 3. Gentlemen, members of the opposition, please understand that Dominica is not an easy country. It's a very difficult country based on its terrain. And we're injecting $21 million into the economy in terms of feeder road development. I think it'll go a long way. This is not all alone. We're actually looking at a new list of feeder roads that we plan to build very soon from now, following on from that, because we know that's not all the feeder roads. However, we are urging the farmers to help us to clean the roads, to unblock the drains, because Dominica, we rain a lot here, and just a drain being blocked can create a problem for us. Now, gentlemen, we must be careful when we discuss and we say things in terms of government's program. We talk about secondary roads. I don't want to spend too much time on that, Mr. Speaker. I just want to clear up some of it. The leader of the opposition went on to spend his entire budget period speaking about CBI and electoral reform. I was kind of scared and surprised when I heard him towards the end try to come back on target and try to hit back some of the areas, you know. But this is a national budget, as I've said. It's difficult to go and present an alternative budget to this one. So I understand you had to kill some time in CBI. You are the same leader of the opposition who came on here and attacked it furiously. And I warned you then. I remember that quite clearly. I warned you then. I warned you, and I said to you, any Dominican who can append his signature to a letter given to you like that, written by the outside forces, we know who they are. We know who they are.
His financiers.
We cannot allow these things. We cannot put our signature to things like that. They're going to hurt this country. This is our country. A lot of us only can call Dominica home. Roseau is my New York City. Eh? It is my New York City because I'm from the Roseau Valley. And when I came to Roseau in February sometime of this year, I remember that quite clearly. The folks in the Roseau Valley, we work in Roseau, we live in Roseau, we shop in Roseau, we send our children to school in Roseau. Roseau is our New York City. When I come down, I put on my nice little clothes, I go on my bayfront. This is my New York City. And to come down on that day in February and see my city blazed, it hurt me. It hurt me. I want to make it abundantly clear for you all here on the other side. It is my New York City. I depend on it. I was not happy. And my friend here, Honourable Roseau Central, Mr. Honourable Joseph Isaac, I want to say to you, do not allow these friends of yours on the other side there to do that to the city for me. Please. This is my New York City. It's going to hurt me, and I want you to, I'm passionate about it, actually. Passionate about it. It actually hurt me. I mean, I spoke to my friend, Hector is a good friend of mine, Hector knows we speak, and we spoke about the road issues and whatnot, and the fire as well too. Yeah. Hector and myself are cool, I'm not going to say anything. Hector is all right, for me. Yeah, member of Salisbury, and we spoke about that, but that's another area I didn't like as such, though. I'll be honest with you, and we spoke, that's okay, right. Yeah, I'm serious. When I speak facts, gentlemen, so you'll know it is. Okay. We spoke about the CBI, coming back to it a little bit, because I have to bring in the things as they come in. I have a lot to speak about today, but I'll only do it in 1 hour, Mr. Speaker. Okay, so we spent all our time on CBI. When we came here last session, we came to this parliament, a lot of barricades out there. We had the policemen were there trying to have to put some peace in the place. When you all came, and you all mentioned that you wanted electoral reform, we took you seriously. We said, we'll move on with it, we'll see what you're saying, and let's see. So we brought in some reform, but you all decided, but hold on now. If we were to implement this project here in terms of the reform, it will hurt us. You all thought so, you all asked for it. What you all did, you all went out there, started having the people in Boston with bums of food, no meat outside there on the road. I mean, it was painful to the people to put them in the huts and doing that sort of thing, protesting what you asked for. It hurt me again. And I want to say to you all, if you all serious, then you hear a new thing came in your voter program. The leader of the opposition spoke about $30. I thought the man would have said, Mr. Speaker, 40 for something at least, budget. Not $30 per voter. No, not $30 per voter. I mean, come on, how you can watch a Dominican and say you're going to pay them $30? That's an insult. This government doesn't get involved in things like that. We move this country, people are excited. People come from to visit their people, they may come to vote. We're not sending for them. One guy said to me, one of your strategists, in the early days when you all thought you all had a little something, he said to me, you know something, Collin? We did the same thing in UWP, our strategists, you know. Of course. But you all guys look like you all can do it better than us. Now, what you are saying in terms of how, I'm not talking about bringing people in, don't misunderstand me at all. Talking about how you energize your people and how you get them to vote for you. So let us be careful how we try to disenfranchise our people in the alternative budget and spending so much time on it, knowing very well that we cannot disenfranchise our people in terms of when they come to vote. And those of them living here or living abroad, I mean, a Dominican has to be able to come back to his country to vote. The US is a more developed country than us. What are we talking about, gentlemen? We like to talk about developed countries and whatnot. What are we talking about? People, the US people can vote absentee. In this little Dominica, with this government trying to make things happen, you want to disenfranchise our people? We'll not let that happen at all. Okay? Right. Education. I was stunned that when the leader of the opposition spoke about education, where he said about what you would do. Well, understanding education, you have to be part of it, to be honest with you. No matter, Mr. Speaker, education is critical to this government. And it is the only government to date, and I've lived through a few governments. I wasn't so conscious in those days in terms of Patrick John period. I wasn't that conscious because I was a young fella. But I mean, I knew of it because I was in the SMA match and whatnot, and you know, that's how PJ went out. I'm aware of it. Then we went on to the Miss Charles era of blessed memory. Very great era in Dominica. Put some discipline in place, got the place back on its track. It was moving, and that was in that time. We had a very unfortunate period of that when we had the UWP coming to power, and they started just doing things. They brought the economy down, and I think Honourable Douglas, he already gave you all the, delivered on that in terms of the ills of that period. So I'm not going to go with that. We know it and it's vivid in our minds. And then we came on to the DLP period. And this has been the best period in Dominica. Best period. And I'm not saying that with any bias in my mind, because I'm not a biased man. If you all guys, if you members of the opposition say something that makes sense, and I always say to you, I'm listening to what you have to say. Because I want to learn from you. But it is very difficult for me. I mean, I'm not saying that because you're in the opposition. It is difficult for me. Yeah. No, this government, the Dominican Labour Party government, and we are blessed, you know. I'll tell you why we are blessed. The Prime Minister was once the Minister of Education. He understands it. You have my friend here, Honourable Saint-Jean, who is rooted in education as well, too, in terms of the vision. And you have all of us here, every single member here, with some form of serious education and a backing and a passion for it. So our educational program, it's way above what you have ever spoken about. And this government, the Dominican Labour Party, is the government that has produced the most graduates in any government in the history of Dominica. Non-bias, non-bias. What we have realized now, we have gone on to say a university graduate per whom? Fine. We have gone on to exhaust the BSc level, the first degree level, and we have done well. The world/Dominica requires more than just a first level, a first degree right now. We need more than that. And what we have done in this budget is we started looking at, and we have looked at expertise, specialization. Dominica is not a simple country. Dominica is not just a basic first degree type of country. It requires specialists. And what we want to embark on in this budget is we're going to start looking at our priority areas for development. We know what we have. We know what's happening in the Roseau Valley and all around Dominica. The sort of edge failures we have in, the sort of hydrology that's required, the sort of engineering, the doctors we require, I was going to say lawyers, so we need some serious, we're more senior counsels as well too, we need them as well too. However, we need more than just that for Dominica. And in this budget, we have placed money where we're going to be targeting priority areas for development and specialized training. This is the vision of a government that's thinking, man. Come on. The member of the opposition came on here, the leader, he spoke about education. I mean, just ran over it fast. I mean, I know you have to try something, but you have to speak with a sort of a leadership in terms of where we're going with education. And to me, that is the future, but where we're going. As I've mentioned to you, we can no longer depend on just a first degree. We need specialization. We need specialists, the various fields required for this difficult piece of real estate we have in Dominica. It's not a joke at all, but it's a lovely country. As the AG has always said, our beauty is our challenge, and that's true. We need more than just that, okay? Now, just to touch a little bit on, yes, agriculture. I'm just clearing up. I'll come back to the main parts after. The leader of the opposition in his delivery spoke about very deficient budget in terms of black secret token. Now, gentlemen, if we had put in every single protocol in this budget, the budget is so good already, it'll take the Prime Minister a whole week to read the budget. We cannot put in every single protocol like black secret token will go out there and spray every 2 weeks. We'll mix it at 1 ounce per this. We cannot do that in this budget. So to talk about the budget being deficient in terms of black secret token and its management program and control program, we are off with that. We are off with that. There are protocols here, right? I speak with you. Look, there's a protocol here on the black secret token. But we cannot put a whole 5 pages on black secret token in a budget for the nation. The nation, they will hear about black secret token disease control and they'll say it. But we can't put all the protocols. So understand, when you make statements like that, you're trying to bring in, as they say, the Prime Minister has not done this, has not done that. So, member for the Marigot constituency, please be informed as to how a budget is prepared, and you cannot bring in every single little detail, like it's the ABC little program we're running here. We run a serious government. And this is not how it's done, and this is how it's done, so that is why it's not there. But I thought I had to make the nation know that was another mistake again, of course, by the opposition. And Mr. Speaker, I think we have gone, let's clear out a few parts now. The Honourable Douglas, I said, he spoke a lot about the ills of the speech of the opposition leader, so I'll not go into much of that again, but just to clear up a few. It's a pity. I was hoping that I would have heard a few of the guys, members of the opposition speak, because I know there's a lot more to clear up. A lot of misinformation is going to be coming here. But I think our able-bodied team here, of members here, they want to deal with that. Okay? So let's move on to other business now. Now, Mr. Speaker, agriculture, and we're quite heavy in agriculture. This government has really created a serious platform for agricultural development. Over the years, we have spoken about pack houses. Mr. Member for the Roseau Central constituency knows about it. He worked in that program as well, too. He's not there anymore. But this government, the Honourable Ian Douglas, member for Portsmouth, and his team, together with the Ministry of Agriculture and Dexia, we now have operationalized our pack houses. And they're doing a tremendous job there. I remember in the days earlier on, Mr. Coleman talked about they being built and whatnot, but they're actually operationalized right now. And what we're doing now, we are focusing on continued agricultural diversification. We spoke about the ills of the banana industry, sadly not understanding what's happening in terms of banana. Banana is nothing about the Dominica Labour Party or the Freedom Party or the UWP. Well, the UWP really played a lot of politics in that day in the banana industry, and they caused a lot of problems and friction. You can see the remnants of it just fading away as we continue to move on and new ones establishing. But this government over the years, and we've been there for a little while, I must admit, we have invested heavily in agriculture. Contrary to what you say, I heard you mention about 50 million in agriculture, just bloom like that. No plan for it, no nothing. I can call 100 million right away here today too. I wouldn't do that. We have a structured approach to agriculture. We know right now we're going to start going back to the regional markets more in September in terms of banana production. We know in the first quarter of 2017 we'll be back in the UK market together with Winfresh, and of course the works of Kevin Stevenson, Angus McIntyre, my brother, Winfresh, Conibert. We will be back in that market, but that market requires a lot because the consumers up there are demanding what they want. So yes, we can stay here, speak about black secret token disease, but we have to make sure that we are placing chemicals in the fruit in terms of the control that the consumers want. We can't just place any kind of chemical in there because your market demands what happens here. So let's understand the dynamics and what's required of that market and what this government is doing in terms of black secret token and replanting in terms of all our tissue culture plantlets coming from France, CRAD/relationship, these are research units. And we have a number of varieties here. Now, something that I want you all to understand, members of the opposition and the nation, is these are not resistant plants. They are not tolerant plants neither. These plants are susceptible to black secret token disease. But what we must understand, these plants are the preferred variety for the market in terms of palatability and the taste. So what you have to do, that's the Cavendish, and you have different ones. What you do now, you must put a control program in place to control this black sigatoka disease such that you can produce plants that are palatable and required on the market. So understand that. They're not tolerant nor resistant varieties. What we plan to do, which is not as palatable to the mouth and to the taste, is the bringing in more resistant varieties for backyard operations. And in these backyard operations, where you don't have, say the member from Marigot may want to plant a banana tree in his backyard, but he has no management program for it. He'll plant 2. He won't come down any black sigatoka, but it's not as palatable. Besides that, you may want to plant 1 in your yard, and that's what's happening here. So let us understand the dynamics of it, and let us understand that this is what this government is doing. And let us try to understand the science of it rather than just saying things that we're not sure of and mixing up the population. Because I think our population is at the level right now where we have to feed them facts. We understand that, gentlemen? Right. We notice as well, too, in terms of agriculture, we notice that the non-banana crops, we speak about the root crops, the tanias, the dashian, the yams, the cassava, and I'll speak a little bit on cassava and your cancer program towards the end of this debate, because I'd like to bring a little health aspect to it too, which is very exciting sometimes and very informative. But we know that they have really gone on to hold a serious share of that market right now. And when I spoke with the Honourable Minister of Trade, because we sit sometimes, we speak, well, the whole cabinet sits and we decide, but I always speak with him a lot because I'm a farmer myself and I want to plant and I want to understand the dynamics of the market. When I spoke with him, he's saying to me, and we are seeing it, that there's a lot of dashing, there's tania, there's yams that have caught up and technically sort of not displaced, but matching up to what banana is to do for us. So here it is, we are coming back with banana in September in Antigua and the regional markets. In the first quarter of 2018, we'll be back in the UK market, so we'll have a heightened amount there. Your root crops are doing very well there. What we want to do right now is to place money, and we are continuing to do that in terms of the entrepreneurs and the manufacturers, seeing that how we can add value. So this is the dynamism of this budget. This budget is not a budget. You put so much money in agriculture. You talk about manufacturers. Its focus is, it goes towards a path. You put money here, you're going to get that. Let's process that, add value, and we can work with that. Understood? Right. So when we speak of the budget, this is how the budget was crafted. That's why, Mr. Speaker, it's very difficult to come and try to speak of an alternative budget, because it is difficult to get into the brain waves of the Minister of Finance to understand where he's thinking. And you see this team here? It's a very serious team. It's not a team that plays at all. I know you all are very attentive, so I'm very happy for that as well, too. Okay. Let me move on to some parts as well, too. I don't want to mix up the papers here at all because I have so much to say today. Yeah. Now, and of course, we spoke about the modernization, but I'm not going to bug you more with agriculture here because Honourable Jano, coming sometime today, very dynamic fella, to be honest with you. Very dynamic man. Yeah. Now, we spoke about the abattoir. We've been criticizing the abattoir. I've lived through Dominica for a long period. I'm a veterinarian. I know a little bit about livestock. My first degree. No, he's all right, yeah. Okay, abattoir. This is the only government to date. In the early days when we spoke about the abattoir, you all came in here and you all spoke about, the members of the opposition I'm referring to, sir, you all spoke about, we criticized the abattoir. This, gentlemen, I've been a veterinarian for a while now. This is the only government to date that was brave enough to put its investment in an abattoir. I'll be honest with you. It's a state-of-the-art abattoir. State-of-the-art. This is the only government which is actually giving livestock a real good push. I'm a veterinarian, I know what I'm telling you. We heard of little projects before from some of the foreign friends, they have dried up. But this government is putting its money in terms of that. What I'd like for you all to do, and Dominicans to do, let us continue to buy more of it. Let's buy more of our local meats. Because the local meats in Dominica, they don't have the hormones, they don't have the antibiotics that's going to mess with you. See our ladies start growing beard just now. We don't want to do that at all. Or young males trying to grow breasts. We don't want that here. So that is why we make sure that when we introduce any sort of feed program in Dominica, that they don't contain antibiotics, and they don't contain the hormones, and of course the coloring agents. You see this lovely meat placed on the shelves. Nice pink, reddish meat. These things are impregnated with chemical agents in terms of coloring agents to give it that look. But when you have your wholesome meat produced right there in Layo, fed locally, your pork fed locally, and of course the veterinary unit is well developed right now such that we can deworm our animals, they're wholesome, and they're fit for human consumption. We have a serious program here. What I'd like you all to do for your businesses and to encourage it and to support this side, this government, let us push the abattoir, gentlemen. This is what we have. This is ours. This is ours. It's ours. Now, cocoa, for example. I mean, I don't know how much you know about cocoa, but cocoa, we have been very good in cocoa production in Dominica. We have top quality cocoa here. And we have remnants of our old established plots. What we are doing right now in the Ministry of Agriculture, we're looking at the various cultivars. Because we cannot just go out there and say, plant a cocoa seed. Because of pollination, you'll have different, it won't be true to type. So the Ministry of Agriculture, for its program, they're looking at the selected cultivars such that we can plant only what's required and is of that high quality. So yes, it's taking a little time, but we're getting there. And the plan here is to increase production. The cocoa sticks, for example, and I don't only want to speak about cocoa sticks. I want to get back to the days where we can have it in a nice little container, be it glass or plastic, whatever you have. Put it there and we can send it out there. That's added value. And I've spoken to, since in the days of when I was the Minister of Trade, I remember that quite well, when we used to be selling our cocoa to Grenada. I wasn't in favor of that at all. I'll be honest with you, but I think more and more, because we lack the capacity for value added and whatnot. But now, with our investment in agriculture and with what we are doing right now, we can do that. We don't have to send our cocoa outside. And this is the plan, because you really get more from value added than just selling raw material. And this is for all our agricultural crops, as well too, also including that is our livestock. I'd like to see us go into a little sausage production, a little this here and that, where you can have adding some value to it, because value added, and this is why this budget is focused heavily on value added, because value added is what gives you that extra little edge and the amount of money required for it rather than raw material. So this is what we're doing for our farmers here. So cocoa is one that's on the front burner for sure and continue to be there. And with our new thrust in agriculture, we're going to look at the varieties, looking at the value added aspect of it, and whatever infrastructure that's required to take cocoa to that level, because Dominican cocoa fetches a serious price. To talk about the French market, our neighbors there, where we have serious population, it fetches a serious price. Coffee. Dominica has been very good on coffee, and I know you're going to say, okay, the coffee plant in Portsmouth. Gentlemen, don't waste your time on that. Be honest with you. Our friends are experiencing a little difficulty. Venezuela, they've been very good to us. And don't make nobody fool you, If you all were the ones in government, you ought to be very good friends with Venezuela, But you see, we are such that our government is, when our friends are in problems, and of course it's sad to see what's happening, this sort of a target that they're placing on Venezuela, all because of oil. That's what's happening in the Middle East too. Let's open our minds, understand the wars that's taking place in the world right now. It's all about oil. And of course, if you can get control of a resource, you see what happened, they reduce the price of the oil, they're trying to collapse of some of these countries. Even Saudis are having a little difficulty too. That's why these guys in the Middle East, they have to move very fast right now, to lay down investments for the future. Because when you have some countries saying to you by 2040, 2050, everything is electric, you're trying to make sure that oil is placed on a back burner. So the fortunes of what they ripped before will be a problem. Understand now there's still a thirst and a hunger for the oil. And we will go ahead trying to cripple a sister country like Venezuela, get that oil. But the coffee plant now, yes, is part of that program, because that is the funds coming from the ALBA and whatnot to help us. Now, because of a little turmoil in Venezuela and the joint partnership of the Venezuela-Dominica company to run this coffee plant, of course, coupled with, I hope you know that, a lightning bolt struck the plant, blew the transformer clean off. I hope I'm making sure that you understand the science of it. This is what's affecting the coffee plant. But gentlemen, understand one thing. This coffee plant is on Dominican soil, so what does that mean? I won't say more. And we will get it working, okay? But I sympathize with our friends. Sometimes there are little difficulties and we have to understand. But coffee, in terms of syndicate, and I'm sure my members on my side here who know about syndicate and the quality of coffee, we have a very good quality. Our French neighbors, there's a ready market for it, so we will work with that. So don't come here and say, okay, coffee plant. waste your time on that, fellas, man. So hear what's wrong with the coffee plant for now. Coconut rehabilitation, agriculture again. I have a passion for it. It's serious economic development. Understand it. And I'll touch on areas where I figure that we need to know about. Yesterday, we happened to be in the, just for a few hours, went to Matnik. And you see one thing about this government, you see everybody here, we've established teams. And almost every single member here has visited Comrade Ivor. And I report to the House, Ivor has made tremendous recovery. Tremendous. And the gentlemen, we are all earthly mortals, eh? Let's be careful with that. Eh? Don't want to speak. I remember when he was a minister then, was sick, had a problem with the whatnot. Wish the man deaf. I'll speak soft here. Wish this deaf. Sadly, not understanding that we are earthly mortals and we can all drop, and we will drop one day. Let us be careful with that, fellas. Let's be careful with that. All right, I won't say more on that. However, he's doing well, and you know he'll be all right. Coconut rehabilitation. While I was in the French area, we were greeted with some lovely coconut water in bottles. And the Honourable Minister of Trade said to me, and the Prime Minister as well said to me, this is something I'd like to do for here, for Dominica. I said to him, well, according to the FAO study, we are way advanced with it. And what this government is going to undertake very soon is another coconut rehabilitation program. Not the tall fellas for the copra days. I mean, copra is all right, we like to get it, but per acre, coconut, unless you start marketing the fresh water itself, what's coming from it, isotonic, almost can be put in your veins, you know that? Yeah, you can, you know, very good, you know, for drips. We want to start looking at resistant varieties. And while I was there, the Prime Minister said to me, you know, I've also received correspondence from a neighboring friend of ours, a good friend of Dominica, in terms of a resistant variety to the red palm mite. And I said to the Prime Minister, definitely we should go ahead with that, because I don't know how many of you all know what's happening to our coconuts here, and there's a mite problem affecting it. We'll be able to survive because Dominica, in terms of its dynamism of its environment and its climate, these diseases don't last well here at all. We've been able, you know, to fight them out naturally in terms of what's available. But I still believe with the new program, we'll bring in some resistant varieties, cultivars of coconuts from this friendly government, and I'd like to move on that fast. I got to know that yesterday, and I was excited about it, and it came from our Prime Minister, which is a very good move. So the coconut program will expand it, because as you know, gentlemen, coconuts very important for the economy of Dominica, and it's helping us. Manufacturing, we heard about it in the budget this year. We'll have the 15 million, at least the usual 3% grace periods of between 3 to the 12-month period in terms of helping our manufacturers. And they're very happy about it, very, very happy. So we have had three facilities so far. One in agriculture, one in tourism. You speak about the people in tourist industry, they're not going after it. No, it's not that. You must understand the money was placed there for a particular reason. The money wasn't placed for refinancing. Okay, because this government aim is not to upset the banking system in Dominica. If a hotel plant has a particular loan with a bank, for example, you cannot just suddenly go and just knock it out and create that imbalance. So we have to understand the dynamics of economics in the country and the whole financial system. And the money was placed for that in terms of upgrade. You want to bring in some new equipment, and that's what's required in the tourist industry. So understand the use of the money of these facilities. So we have agriculture, we have tourism, now in manufacturing, and before the years end this up, you might even have a new one coming very soon, because we want to put that money back in the hands of the people. That's what we want to do. It's people-centered politics. We have to understand that. So manufacturers are going to be getting something very soon, as in this budget here, and it will go towards helping them up in terms of improving on their manufacturing capacity and the whole value-added program he spoke about. Don't talk about construction. I heard the leader of the opposition, when he spoke, he mentioned about the balance in terms of imports and exports. Now, I'll be honest with you, gentlemen. If you have to measure the balance of trade in terms of imports and exports, and I'm a poor little veterinarian, so I try my little economics now and again. That's my ministry. But it's pure basic common sense. The boom we have in the country right now in terms of construction, and as the member for the Calif-Talbia constituency said, while we were in the gardens trying to build this road, a lot of shortages of cement, lots of shortages. We struggled with it, but we had Dominicans coming together in terms of construction. That's just a little preamble to where I'm going. And then now, February, remember that date, fellas? Y'all were burning down Roseau, but we're trying to build Roseau back. Let's not do that. I'll bring it in every now and again because that's my New York City and one of y'all fellas. All right. However, When you look at the balance of trade, well, you can tell me that I saw you there in your dark shades looking well too, you know. When we were trying to burn down Roseau, sorry, I've been talking about Roseau too much now. When we were trying to develop this country, we have a serious consumption of cement and building materials. Every other week in Dominica, every 2 weeks, there's no BRC, there's no steel, there's no cement. That's not because of any sort of sanction type measures on the country, you know. That's an economy that's booming, it's just absorbing. When you think of Kipinski down in Portsmouth, major development there, I hope when you pass this sometimes, you have a look at it and realize the dynamism of this government in terms of moving that sector forward now. And gone are the days when we're going to speak about whatever style level ready rooms. We're going to have them. We're going to have them. Kipinski down the road. You criticize the Moroccan hotel, that's fine. I'm not going to say no, criticize it. But watch me, state of the art finishing by our Moroccan teams working inside here, giving it that Moroccan touch. And gentlemen, yes, it may have taken a few extra years here and there. And understand, it's not the government's fault. It's all because of the arrangement and the change of governments in these countries. So, of course, when you come in with a change of a government or a change of a system, it's going to affect how the finances flow. But there was always a commitment to build the hotel, and the hotel is receiving tremendous income source of funds right now to complete it, so that will be done. So Kipinski, range down the road, Moroccan next door, Silver Beach will come in the Coconut Beach area, Tranquility on the flats of Salisbury. I have some lovely designs as well too. You get across to Roseau, we're still looking at some major buyer for the one of our best beach hotels in Miro there, and I'm keeping my eyes on this one too. That's a very good spot. You remember the early days of the Castaways. I remember the early days of there, you know. Very lovely hotel with a natural beach. I wouldn't have time for this one. And then we get up to I Hold In, which is the Jungle Bay. And of course we came here and we spoke about the people of Daly. They felt so sad when the Jungle Bay had to leave because of the terrain there. And as I've always mentioned to you gentlemen, the south part of Dominica is the youngest part of Dominica. It is still in its formation. When you look and you fly over, which I did yesterday, you can see all little self activities in the south of Dominica. And don't be surprised one day, Mr. Speaker, that Dominica is connected to Matnik, you know. It may not be in my lifetime because that's a little while from now, but in terms of geologic time, don't be surprised of that. And I hope the ants can bring news for me in Providence, if they were to find my body where I'll be buried, that they can bring some news and say, yes, Matnik and Dominica, they're now connected. Because Dominica is growing that way because of it's young. This is what happened in Savan. It's a young area. And we saw what this government did in terms of housing. But we'll get to that just now, just making sure we understand the context and how we flow this discussion here. Now, Mr. Speaker, we spoke about the renewable. I technically spoke about renewable energy in terms of when I cleared up the little misinformation of the leader of the opposition. So I won't go in too much in that right now, other than to say the government of Dominica will really pursue the geothermal project. We will pursue it, and I've been one for sure who stands strong on that I always wanted the domestic plant to be owned by this government, and we are owning it. This is the only way we can transfer that to you. With the Regulatory Commission and the people regulating the cost of electricity, this is how we can transfer that price to the consumers. because no, I'm all right, man, all right. Because natural thing can handle it. Because we have to understand that investors, when they come to your country, the first question they ask you, what is your cost of electricity? And your cost of electricity, if it's very high, and Dominica, our cost of electricity is extremely high, they will ask you, well, they wouldn't be so interested. What I'd like to do, which I thought the members on the other side would have, at least with forward-thinking division, you know what I'd like to do, honestly? I'd like to take a line from that geothermal source and bring it somewhere in Roseau North, or if we can get some outskirts land, Roseau Central, and Roseau South maybe. And we can open a nice little industrial park and put our young budding manufacturers, young budding engineers to work in there at a lower cost of electricity to help them to have that little competitive advantage. That's how I want you all to think, the vision for this country. Because if we don't think so, gentlemen, we can never be competitive. Other countries are talking about, yes, small islands, we shouldn't be doing that. Look at them, they're helping their farmers and they're subsidizing everything for their people. But they meet you at these meetings and they dress us and they give us things to sign and tell us, sign that, and we sign it. But they have near people in secret, you know. So let us be careful about these guys. And Mr. Speaker, I made a mention of the fact that I never wanted Dominica to be recolonized. And we have to be careful with that. We own this country. We cannot allow folks to come in with their ideas to grab our resource. We are on the front burner right now in terms of the CBI program. Let us not allow these fellas to come and say, well, it's making some money and let's try to grab it. Let's not be short-sighted in this program. Do not allow these fellas to come and recolonize our island. Don't allow that to happen. These European people, they help us, you know. But you remember when in the early days of the colony when they came here? They came and they grabbed us too. You heard the Collin gentleman speak about the first Collin pilot. I cannot talk about the president because he's immune a little bit. I won't talk about him. But he gave a very good speech. The Collin district. And all of us here, we have Collin blood in us. We all have it. These were the first people here. Let's understand that. So it's in our genetics, it's flowing and it's helping us. Let us protect this country, man. Huh? How you mean now? Of course, Lennox has a member for America that has Collin blood in him. Of course, come on. Now, Mr. Speaker, in terms of health, I will go into a little bit of health right now because Dr. Darrow is here. He's going to elaborate on his health program. But just to say a few things there on health, one thing mainly is, and that's tying back to the whole educational move of this government. We realize that we're getting this new hospital. And it's a long time ago since we had a new hospital in terms of the physical plant. But just by visiting Martinique yesterday as well too, and I saw the level of expertise available, and there, you know, you see the geriatric area where they work on their stroke victims and people of that sort, their surgery, blah, blah, blah. We are getting a brand new product up there. And it's the intention of this government and its new program in terms of the human resource aspect of it to look at the various disciplines where we need specialization. I don't want to be going to the US every other, say, twice a year to work on my eyes, to work on my prostate, and a few other areas. No. Well, you should be. Gentlemen, I warned about. Gentlemen, I warned about we are all earthly mortals. So once I make a statement like that, we should just agree with me and let's roll. Right. However, I would like us to see, in terms of ENT, we cannot be in this country with 70-something people having one eye specialist, ophthalmologist, one ENT. We don't have our own oncologist yet, but Dr. Dar will tell you about his plans for it. So, guys, in terms of urology, if we have to go to a doctor, as males here, we have to go to a OBGYN by right, technically, or internal medicine person. No, let's be honest, an OBGYN is a great person, he's a doctor, he's trained, but we want a specialist for males, man. You know what I mean? You want a specialist for males. Last time I went to my doctor, he came and he asked me to, I'll give a little, but it's a real story. Last time I went to check my little health and whatnot, and we're all earthly mortals, I say, gentlemen, especially us, here as we're trying to get older. Because if we want to live long enough, we must have problems there. Some of us are immune, we go to 102 like a bird. My good friend last week, 102, and I see 104. But these are just special little off programs. It's not promised that way for us. No, it's not. But I don't want to have to go to struggling, and because we don't have the expertise in Dominica. So the plan of this government in terms of this budget and the forward thinking is to look at the specialty areas that we require to help all of us as Dominicans. Because take it or leave it, gentlemen and ladies, take it or leave it. We are the next ones to pass through the PMH, you know, based on our age. So I'm warning you all, we are all earthly mortals. Let us stick together. If it's one thing, because this government, we don't play no politics whatsoever with health. I can attest to that for sure, but I will never be in a government whereby we're going to say, this person is blue, red, pink. I saw Papi with a yellow wheelbarrow in Tongwe. My goodness. That's the level of policy. I'm not going to say because the man was behind pushing Papi's yellow barrow, I'm not going to help him. Health is for every single one of us, and when we build this facility of them, we're not going to say to you, who you support, you can't come inside. Nonsense. Agriculture, there's no politics in agriculture for me and for this government. We all planting to produce, okay? Let us understand that, gentlemen. I mean, of course, Some of you all, because of the petty partisan politics, you all come out there, post up and want to handle people like the speaker to warn you all this morning. No. Fellas, let's be gentlemen.
And the February.
Yeah. Okay? Right. So, as far as health is concerned, these are some of the priority areas we're looking at. The doctor is here. He'll explain more for you on that. But in terms of our thrust moving forward and education, looking at the graduates, we really want to move on more and more with that, of course, with our new hospital. We spoke about the poverty figures. Just to inform our members here, that when we got into office, what we inherited from the UWP was a bad report card, you know. Terrible. I mean, people were abject poverty. It was rough. But since we have gotten into office, and you all can say what you all want, the figures are there. And I'll tell you why it's working. This is the only government to date, and I've lived through all of them, I told you that. In terms of the social welfare and support programs, this is the only government who has done that for Dominica. The elderly are having a good time. Look at when we brought in the pilot health program in the last budget. You all criticized, not even saying, well, let us allow the thing to work. And as we said to you, we'll look at a way where we can stretch it into a national insurance program because, gentlemen, healthcare is prohibitive. So we are trying our best as government. It's the only government who has brought in an insurance program. And we'll let it run for itself. We work with the young mothers and the young kids, and we have to support them because you all don't know, you know, because when we sit, where I sit, just some time ago, one guy, 3 fractures, $34,000 based on equipment and supplies to fix him. What are we going to say to the person? You blow your head, you cut your foot out? No, man. Come on, no chill, fellas. So let us understand what's happening. We are earthly mortals. We will support health. We'll work on people. Look at what we did in this budget. We started speaking about autism and handicap-type programs. I have a cousin who is Down syndrome, and it's not her fault. It's a chromosomal aberration where you have trisomy 21, where you have an extra chromosome in an area, and it makes them Down syndrome. After all, she wasn't born, so she didn't decide on that for herself. So what we're going to do, just discriminate against her. For your information, that's why they don't call them Mongoloids again, because there's a race of Mongolian people. Just to say all those things that we must understand the context of health and what this government is trying to do. And we want to make sure that there's health available for everyone. Sometimes our mothers at home, our parents at home, they have these challenged kids. It's not their fault. It's because of some little mix-up in terms of the genetics, and phenotypically it may express themselves differently, and it's a problem for them. I hope you're not having difficulties getting the words there, but these are important words. And they may come in here, not their fault, their genome is developed differently. And it's all based on how the chromosomes pool, and you have a problem. You have a child with challenge, and the child may be at home wanting to scratch up the wall and getting crazy, and the poor parent cannot go to work. This government is putting things in place for special education for these people. And this is how this budget is developed. There's a problem, and we work it out, and there's a solution. This is how we operate. We don't talk about 50 million in agriculture. To do what? We don't know. So,
Are you getting
yeah, 40 for something. That was the voters program. Okay, so understand where we're coming from. Now, housing, for example. Housing, for me, critical. There's no government before, none whatsoever, has ever done what we have done for housing.
That's right.
None. You see what happened in Silver Lake many moons ago, which Charles then had. That's what you had to work with, some long houses. They got burnt. Look at what you have now. We have raised the level of people in Silver Lake. Raised their level. And I'm happy that the member for Roseau South was there when we were opening the last set. He was there, and he said about the government there with that, because it's a good program. And we are raising, and we have another one to open now. And what we have to work on doing for Silver Lake is continue to put the facility and the resources in there so we can raise the standard of the people. We have to help them. And this is what, and a man told me last night, and we'll talk about the valley just now. Anybody, he said, don't call it now. I said, no, man, let us develop the country still. Now. They want to call it now. I told him, man, Mr. Speaker, I told him, man, but the election, I said, call it now for what, now, man? Call it now, we're ready. I said, no, man, hold on now, man. We have to develop the country more. We have some time left. I mean, we're stable, we're moving good, we know what we're about, we know where we're going to next time already. But at the same time, our mandate is the 5-year period. Let us develop more. So I develop, no, we're not calling it now. Let's move in. Let's move. And then he said to me, any government who's helping Malawi, poor people, people who are less privileged people, marginalized people, God must bless you. And he also coined it by saying that any opposition member who speaks ill of that program, God will curse them.
That's right.
Yeah, I agree with you. And you understand that, right? So understand, no, but fellas, I'm giving you all factual information. This is based from the street, by people talking to us, based on what they're hearing. I'm not making up stories here, I don't mess with stories and what I told you all already. Anything you all have to say, once is facts, I'm with you. No, but no, man. But stop being insulting, man.
The people didn't wish him that anyhow.
Okay, but gentlemen, I like to base my thing, my delivery on facts, and I want to show you all exactly where I'm coming. And you have to listen to the people. I spoke about Mr. Bunty recently. He's 80-something going to 90. Premier gouvernement where first government I saw, Mr. Speaker, was ever qui jamais fait ça pour Dominica, was ever done that for Dominica. The man is under 90 going up there. Let's be honest about it, sir. Okay. Now, we know about growth in Dominica, and I was happy the minister, the member for the Marigot constituency was in St. Kitts. I was there as well too, where we heard the ECCB speak about certain figures in the region and what we're trying to get at. We know what happened to us here during tropical storm America, and we know the sort of damage that was done to the country. But we can still boast, for what thing. Yes, we're targeting 5 to 7%, but realistically, in 2016, we pulled out at 2.75 after a major blow. When you hear countries speaking about figures down the road, 1 point something, Dominica still can speak and boast of that. And we have to understand that the country is on a path. Now, you may not understand what is a growth rate, and you may want to relate it to, maybe saying, well, maybe because business are a little slow on your side, you may say, well, okay, everybody feeling in the country. No. The country has disposable income. The government drives a lot of it, I must admit, and we would like the private sector to do more and more. This is why we are divesting, throwing money out there in the private sector more and more, so they can start working and helping government to run this country. Because in the days before, when you had weak governments, like in your period, your ancestors' period, the country really was brought to their knees, See what they had to do? They had to go behind the social security money, take 25 million and not pay it back. We had to fix that up, fellas. These are true stories, I don't know what when you all speak, you all must talk about that. Talk about that, because these are facts. But it gets difficult for you all. Anyway, we boost over all 2.75 growth is positive, and we love it. I'm going to stick with it. And of course, we're going to look at all the other aspects of how we can get that economy working together so we can get things going. Okay? So let us work and let's build this country. Mr. Speaker, I want to make sure I'm on target. If you any idea how much time I have left? 10? Wow. Okay.
Like Ron Green, man.
Okay. Not yet. I'll take let me burn the first 10 minutes. Okay. The what? The Bali has his thesis there. Trust me.
People don't want him here.
And you all didn't bring him there? Let me tell you. Let me give a little history before I go here. You see, the leader of the opposition, Honourable Lennox Linton, realized that you were going to be a little problem for him. So he has sidelined you. Yes. My friend here of Collin got origin like myself. We realized that, okay, the very popular man then too. Let me hold him stronger. Because, and Mr. Baptiste, the man I respect a lot, I always say that to him, and my friend, Mr. Hector from Salisbury. Realizing what was going to happen now, and you see, what you don't know really, I hope you know it though, is the concentration of the power and control, and the Honourable Lennox Linton is smiling, going, I'm talking the truth. The shots are called by Uncle Eddie Boss. Uncle Eddie is the one calling the shots. And Uncle Eddie not going to let that thing slip far from him. So you better watch yourself. You can see Honourable Linton smiling, and he knows I'm talking the truth. Okay, so... No, of course, Honourable Linton.
But that look is a smile? Well, I don't want to smile.
Okay, now, Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister presented his budget. The budget was fine. As I've said to you, I don't want to be in opposition right now with a budget like that. It is difficult for it. So the members are here. They speak about the various parts of their budget. We understand what we're doing in housing. Honourable Austri is there. I've been with him in terms of the initiative. I think it's a great initiative. As I was saying, He has done well in his ministry. And while you have countries like islands like St. Lucia, I don't want to call our sister islands here, when they had their little tropical, whatever it was, they are still struggling to put on houses. We going to have people in houses just now, and we have people in houses in Jubic and Center already, in Platma Pier. And watch me, this is the beginning of what's to come, you know.
That's right.
That new community in Bellevue Chopé there, where the people of Peter are going to be. Okay, right. So the minister just cautioned me that he will speak about his project instead. So I'm all right. Okay, having said that though, because Mr. Speaker, I want to go on to some other parts here because the Roseau Valley is so important and I have a thesis on it now. This is the leader of the opposition's program, and this is the Roseau Valley here. Let's be all right. Here it is. Now, Mr. Speaker, yesterday, for example, those of you who not normally on your little Facebook programs, you would have seen what was going on in the Roseau Valley yesterday. And you saw when we opened the West Bridge, and I'm very happy that you came, you braved it out and you came to the opening of the West Bridge, the Honourable Roseau Central. Very, very happy when you braved it out and you came. I don't know what happened to you behind the scenes, but you braved it out and you came, which is very good of you. And you saw what we unfolded there and what's going to come for Roseau. And I must say, Honourable Tong, he delivered already. No, he's all right. He's doing a lot. And you see, I work closely with him as well, too, because the Roseau Valley is pure tourism. So I work closely with him. So he's a good friend of mine, I must admit. And what he's doing for Roseau, I'm very happy. And you should be... You
have 4 minutes left.
Okay.
Madam Speaker, I move that the Minister be given an additional 15 minutes to complete his presentation.
Seconded, Madam Speaker.
Seconded, Madam Speaker.
Thirded. It has been moved and seconded that the Minister be given a further 15 minutes to complete his contribution. Those in favor? Those against? The ayes have it. You may continue, please.
Thank you, members. Thank you, Honourable Speaker of the House of Assembly. I promise I'm not going to go over the time, but I want to start right away with the Roseau Valley, because the Roseau Valley is the closest tourism site, the closest tourist site in the whole of Dominica to your cruise ship bus. Say what you want. And it's the most concentrated amount of tourist sites in the whole of Dominica. I was just blessed with it being the representative for the area. That's just what it is. And now, the rest of the colleagues there, they have some lovely areas. I mean, Portsmouth is a hell of a place. Huh? So talk to you like, you feel like I have New York City for here already, so you can call Portsmouth what you want, but Portsmouth is bubbling too. However, back to the Roseau Valley. We've been able to put out quite a bit of assistance to the Roseau Valley. The Roseau Valley is heavily dependent on tourism, as we know. We're not strong on agriculture, except for Mount Prosper. Some areas of Cochrane, Trafalgar is very, very small in agriculture because of its terrain, its hilly and whatnot. Get a little backyard program for food security and whatnot, but much. Loda, they have done well in terms of the agriculture there, but it's not ideally suited for agriculture, other than Mount Prosper, which had the dump of the mountains there. Remember I mentioned about the per capita and the mountains? You have Mount Micotrin, part of the mountain, of the Mount Tropical mountain range. Mount Watt there. You went across to Mount Nichols then, and you have the other one, Mount Anglais. They all dumped their dust on the plateau of Mount Prosper. So you have a pretty thick soil base here, which lends itself to mechanization. And this is why Mount Prosper is the spot in Dominica where you can really get serious vegetable crop production. We are seeing the expansion of it. And I want to correct a mistake here that was mentioned by Ronald Charles last week. Again, a misinformation, not knowing. I corrected it already, but let me just correct it here to the nation. When he mentioned about the power, I saw him in his office handing some little envelopes, white envelopes. But when I handed an envelope, I show you my check, and I show you my amount. In secret, he gave a fellow little envelope and whatnot on DNA. I mean, let me tell you, man. Let me tell you, get serious. But anyway, getting back to business, because that's not about my friend here. He said, don't worry that. No, relax. Listen to it, because you'll need to know that, because when people make mistakes on your side, you have to correct them. The only government to date, and that's happened in my first term, who has ever done anything for the Mount Prosper feeder roads was this government, under my reign. And I can recall the premise and myself with some of the members, we walked right to Abeson on foot, not driving, you know. And I saw four-wheel drive wheelbarrows You know, it's a 4-wheel drive with barrow. Where the poor farmers in Overbridge, no road, ladies in mud. I build a road for them. I build the Wabeson Road. You know which government worked on that long, long ago? Listen, you have to know that because it's not in your time. Listen to that. Patrick John did a little thing for us. Let's cut a road and it was messed up, no drains, no nothing. He's trying something. He mean good, poor fella. I had to come in there and put some machines on that road and put in some concrete roads for the people there. And this was it. Norris Charles. I mean, it's my partner. I'd like to call him a name, honestly, because Norris is a cool fellow. You know it is. I mean, he's cool. I'd like to call fellas names. But I'll prefer to say the UWP because they should have helped him. Did not help the man, which had the best farming community in Dominica with a road. They didn't help him. That's how bad you all treat your people. And be careful, you know, fellas. You all be treated the same way because Uncle Eddie is still in charge. Sorry. Members of the opposition, I apologize, Madam Speaker. I take it back right away, Madam Speaker. I apologize 3 times on it. Right. However, is the only government now who cut a road after the days of Mont Prosper. The member for the Roseau South Constituency, yeah, you came up with him, you all did a little thing by the shrine there. I was involved in that accident in terms of helping people with. There are 2 survivors. I carried them on my back. My blood-drained shirt on my back. Sandra and Cynthia, I can call their names. I was in that. You all probably weren't born yet. I was in that. I was a young man fit in those days. We used to run to a body lake. That's how fit we were. I went in that in the night. Police line, don't cross. I said to them, no, I'm crossing. Went low down, I crossed the line, went up. A pile of 15 bodies with 2 girls alive in that. I carried them, I gave them to, the chief of police in those days was Mr. Daru. I said, look on, sir. He said, what? I said, look on. I said, I'm going back again. Police line, don't cross, you know. Went back, I brought another one down. Alive, through a pile of bodies. I was there. So when you want to know anything about the Mont Prosper accident and the road then, you must come to me because I was in it. I walked the whole track of the accident. The truck is still there wrapped around a tree for your information. However, we were the only government to come in and build a first half of this road to Savan, and we will build the second half. What you all did, you all said, our family up there, I must build the road anyway. That's the kind of nonsense you all been forgetting the people, you know. That's what you all thought. Anyway, based on my time, we will help the people in agriculture. We gave out a lot of fertilizer free of charge, cost to the people, and they are moving, they're helping. I was there recently, greater still, I guess, because your fellows running, scrambling. People know the government who is helping them, so we're able to work with them, and they're happy. So this is Mont Prosper for you. We'll go across to Cochrane. Cochrane, I want to invite every single body here tonight, today, that you should be at Rabbit Festival next weekend, Sunday, to celebrate with us for the Rabbit Festival. The government is strong behind it, and we're supporting our people in terms of Rabbit Fest. When we went recently to Cochrane, we pledged further support to them in terms of getting the agriculture rolling, investing more in agriculture, livestock production, because we've always said we want to see the people of Cochrane more involved in the Rabbit Fest. And we have a committee this year, I must say, they're working hard, and the plan is for us to make sure that the product is in the people's hands. I don't want a few to just hold it down and stifle the program and the people suffering. I want to put the value added and let's roll with it, okay? We have rabbit meat and we have different flavors and styles. When we went there, you saw Monica recently. Monica's Highway, there's Seaton Road. One of the first ones to be implanted in the Rosa Valley on the secondary road program, and she came there. When a lady says to you that a rubbish truck couldn't come inside her road to take her garbage, because old roads. When a person says to you that, no, the ambulance can come and pick me up because I'm infirmed, he can come with this, you know the kind of dazzling kind of lights this thing? He can come and pick them up. If you go to there, Seaton right now, we have a lovely road there, built by this government as one of our secondary roads. And is the Dominica Labour Party doing that to the people? Never before in their history. Monica calls it Monica's Highway, there, Seaton. This is the sort of development we want for our people. Housing and toilets, well, there's no government that has ever done that for Dominica. I wouldn't spend too much time on toilets, but just to say the entire Rosa Valley will be eradicating our pit latrines. And I know what it is to use a pit latrine. You might think, oh, Mr. is a fella this. No. My first program in life had a pit latrine. My first program in life. Yeah. And let me tell you something, fellas. I'm sorry, members of the opposition, members of our side here. You know what was the most distasteful thing? Did she ready to say, oh, daddy boy? Yes. Well, I have to, madam, because it's real, you see. But I wouldn't call, I'm not saying any bad words anyway. The trains come and say, but daddy, but there are a lot of cockroach and zandoli in that thing, man. And the thing, you know, and I was very impressed. And I have to use that every morning and whatnot. But Madam Speaker, I know what it is to use a pit latrine. I was very impressed when I went to the Collin territory and they had the double chamber ones. And they used to scrub the thing. And I said, wow, that's a different level for me. And I said, wow, look at creativity. They had where you have a separation, like almost like a male and a female thing right now. And I said, wow. And that really caught my, you know, in terms of the evolve, you know, how people evolve and how they look at things, you know, and against our kind of people, you know, exposed that to me in terms of my thought. We had one pit latrine, and we used to have to stand up and roll the program. But I can boast today that I can use a normal flushing toilet, and thanks to this government, not for me, I had my thing fixed by that time, but for the number of folks. When I went to Scott said, we have a lady in 80-something years in her life, and she had never flushed a toilet. And this government is going to make her flush a toilet before she leaves the earth. That is serious, you know. Fellas, that's very serious. Sorry, members, that's very serious, you know. These are the programs of the Dominica Labour Party, and we cannot cry down these programs. And if you know anybody in your constituency who requires that, talk with the government. It's no color in that. So everybody. And I'm noticing the members are agreeing with me, so I'm seeing that you all have seen the light, members, you all have seen it. Of course, we have the social programs, our NEP. I have a special program in my constituency where, because of a little health background, I deal with health for my people. And what's happening to me, Madam Speaker, right now, I made a fella smile. He came to me, and the man can smile with his teeth now. I'm not calling names because I don't do that. But I want to show it's so important. Some of us, we don't educate ourselves. I'm not talking about education, I'm not being negative here. We don't understand the importance of hygiene, our health. Some people, somebody asked me last night, if you know, a tooth were to rotten, if it will grow again. So it tells you that people don't understand certain things. You see, in terms of deciduous teeth and those come in the milk teeth. So we have to understand that now when you get your first chance in life, Madam Speaker, and I hope the most I might need, Madam Speaker, just 10 more minutes, I'm just trying my best. When you get your little chance in life, and you have messed up your grill, your front teeth, for example, and you have not paid attention to it, but you're not going to get it again, you know, and you're going to live the rest of your life without that smile. There's some friends of mine in my constituency. Because of my background, I'm not going to allow my people to be that way. And it's cost me a lot of money, but I'm fixing them up. And I'm not calling nobody's names, but this is, we all part of it. I will never do that. We're all part of it, and more of my people in the Rose Valley, I'm raising their level in terms of it, because I'm looking at a people-centered politics in terms of the whole body and the well-being and the welfare of the people. So that's my program. We know about the NEP program in all the valleys. We know about that. I mean, it's working. It's keeping the place beautiful. People are gainfully employed. And don't make nobody fool you all. It wasn't a political gimmick at all. But how can we run a gimmick for just it'll be 10 years? We cannot run a gimmick for 10 years. It's costly. It's part of the system. God forbid, but you all won't be there. But never put on a program like that. Never. Trafalgar, we know, so Cochrane is on stream. Trafalgar, of course, every single part in the valley receives its fertilizer, irrespective of color. Irrespective of color. For me, no politics in my program. Just people have to cooperate and let's do things for the constituency. Trafalgar, bubbling area, 90% of the tourists that come to Trafalgar. You'll hear from our Minister of Tourism. We have increased our hotel, our little facility up there. We can now, when you move from the thing, you think flushing frighten you now, because we have toilets now, sensor. Because that's what the tourists want. People don't want to be touching these things. They don't want to be touching these little things to flush toilets, because people are very concerned about who used it before and whatnot. And we have to be here because it's actually, that's what this is, the spread anyway. No, so yesterday, Madam Speaker, I'm sure, and I would like you, and you're part of it, Madam Speaker, where with this, we embarked on the Cabernet beautification program. And we know what Cabernet did to us. Cabernet has been a problem for us from the time I was young, and I always wished, but it's impossible. See if my mother or my father could come back and see what Cabernet look like today. And we still have challenges in Cabernet when we're doing the rim road, where we block the water and a big piece dropped. But we have a lovely area in Cabernet, which is like the extension of the botanical gardens where we're working there recently. I won't talk about why and whatnot. Set up a lovely gardens there. And yesterday, the people of Focani decided they want to extend Focani into Cabernet area. So you'll see just now, welcome to Cabernet, signature under Focani. We started the landscaping program there, lovely palms, and the Golden Mong, and what's going to come down there. And it's an area with our benches where you can come and relax. And it's like the gateway to the Rosa Valley, that aspect of it, because you can see whole Rosa Valley from there. That program started yesterday, so I'm urging members who have not seen anything yet to go on there. And I welcome suggestions from our side here, from your side. Any idea you have that's brilliant, let's bring it in for it, okay? Because it's all based on science. But we started this program yesterday, and it's working well for us. The community center will be built. As a matter of fact, we will start the community center in this financial year, that's for sure. Putting everything in place for that. I've secured some funds for it already, so the people of Trafalgar listening, I'm sure they're all listening, your community center will be built this year, and we embark it. No, but with the flatland, where it was there, it's on a hill is a problem. As a matter of fact, I can't disclose that yet, but there's a prominent person in Trafalgar helping me something that eventually one day we'll be exposing this house. And it's all that been positive to the upliftment of the young guys who have sort of gone through a little side lane there when they get back on that economic path. But we'll deal with that sometime in the future, right in this house here. And I must commend the person listening somewhere in Trafalgar on that today. Loda, important to us, Tito Gorge, we have seen a serious increase in the tourists in Tito Gorge. Last night we had the Fete Loda. That's why I must apologize to Honourable Blackmore for not being able with him last night with what you refer to as a grudge match between the two promising teams in Dominica, the Dr. Mac Prowlers and his team, I think Dr. Darrow. A nice promising team with some struggles with us still, but Falcons, yeah. But the Prowlers, and we'll find out who won the game last night, but the two teams of serious in the first division, of course, Mr. Blackmore said. But however, I want to apologize to him for not being there last night. The reason for that, Mr. Blackmore, we had the Feast Fete Loda, we're trying to bring it back, and we had a great time last night in Loda. Lovely time, it rained, and the people enjoying themselves, and we've seen a budding new of the young fellas now coming up with their rap versions, and I was shocked to see the amount of rappers in the area. And if we can record their programs and sell it, we can make money. It's a sort of a business too. Of course, they work in the day, but rap in the night.
Apologies accepted.
Thank you, sir. What Waven, as we know, we've invested, the Providas Road, $1.6 million. The minister will speak about it in more detail. It has started. We have the big equipment up there, some big excavators. They're going to realign that road for us and fix it up because we had a major edge failure. I think it's no failure where we're going to fix it up right now. So Loda is on the move and it's bubbling and there's movement in the place. The valley is very busy. We have all of the repair works done from Papiot coming on there through the Ministry of Public Works and Domlec partnered with it, and that's working. Trafalgar is working well. We have Wharton Waven across there. The bridge was fixed. The machine is excavating the river right now to fix it up. Of course, small businesses all through the valley. Yeah, that's working. I'm not going to waste time on that because it's happening now. The people are enjoying themselves and they're preparing themselves for the cruise season. But Wharton Waven is an area where we want to work with the Ministry of Tourism more this year in terms of raising the level and raising the star level of the spas. Because we believe that this resource, which is in the hands of the people, community tourism, we can raise the level and bring in even the massage component, masseuse, and get people to rub and just take away these ailments from the muscles and the bones and fix them up through hydrotherapy. Okay? Now, so that's Wharton Waven for us. The road, an additional $2 million was placed in the budget for it. And if you go to Wharton Waven right now, you see the sort of roads we have there. Lovely concrete roads. I believe I want only concrete roads in the Rosa Valley because it's a wet area. The concrete roads are standing up. So we'll complete that road. And the people of Coptall, they'll get the road to the bridge. So the Rosa Valley is almost there. Of course, Cochrane is getting its 5.7 in the first phase of this budget for the construction and continuation of their project. That's significant. Very, very significant. Fed Kaichi, I'm inviting every single one of you to come up to Fed Kaichi starting this weekend so we can run the program. Fokani wanted a program as well too, that's where I hail from. And we have invested in them and they're preparing themselves for a little function on the Sunday as well too. So the valley is bubbling. I invite every single one of you to come up to the valley and let's get back in what we used to be before. Fokani, we spoke about it. Madam Speaker, I will not go on much more to say much other than to bring in a last little part. Coptall, of course, we spoke about that. Just to bring a last little part here with my Calinago brethren, member for the Saliga constituency, where he mentioned about, he spoke about the cassava program. And before I end on that, let me make sure I thank my people. I want to thank my PS, the staff of the ministry, it's right there, the constituents of the Rosa Valley, every single one. I want to thank you for putting your trust in me and continue to have me there and promoting the whole program and being part of this program. I want to thank you for that. Every single body in the Rosa Valley constituency. But in closing, Madam Speaker, I want to bring in a little part here because I'd like to bring in the last little health aspect of it, which had to do, Madam Speaker, when he mentioned about the what do you call it, sir? Cassava program. And he mentioned about some of the anti-carcinogenic properties of it. And I just want to bring in a little part here for the nation, for everyone here, that we must understand that my imagination grew a little bit there when he mentioned about cancer, because cancer is a real thing. It's affecting all of us. And for the males here in particular, the males this time, and if there's a connection with the females as well too, prostate cancer is a big problem for us. They say if you don't use it, you'll lose it, but don't worry about all those kind of things, fellas. No.
You have 1 minute left.
Just 5 minutes, I want. 5. No, just
I
5.
beg that the
Just
minister
5.
will give an additional 5 minutes just to round up and to wind up his contribution.
Madam Speaker.
It has been moved and seconded that the member be given yet another 5 minutes to round up his contribution. Those in favor? Those against? The ayes have it. Your last 5 minutes, please.
Madam Speaker, I apologize for that, but yeah.
What you're saying is important. So
Thank you. It's important. It's very important, and everyone, I want you to listen carefully. I met this guy carrying some research, doing a PhD, and he wanted to do a PhD on prostate cancer. And I said to him, with my little background as well too, I said we need to go back to the area of STDs. That's important for the nation. It's very important. I know where I'm coming from. And we have to go back to the area of the STDs, sexually transmitted diseases, and some of them that predispose the prostate gland to inflammation. Chlamydia is one of them, for example, the most commonly transmitted sexual disease. And a lot of us, we're all earthly mortals. There's contact. We don't know. We don't have the microscopic eye. We don't know. Sometimes we mix. We tell people use condoms, use all kind of things. This is mature talk, right? And we say to them, use these things. But then you always have a little bit of mixing taking place. And the young people are very aggressive. And I mean, it's part of their hormonal whole program. And of course, people of our age, we are still okay too. What I'd like to say is we have to be careful when we get exposed in the early days of our life. And if we remain unchecked, no symptoms as such, but you have the inflammation of that gland that's taking place. And your gland is bombarded. Some of us may feel a little warmth under there and just feel maybe I eat a bad food. No, be careful with that. That's the pelvic area. That is one of the areas where I think research has to come in. And I said to the PhD who's going to do his research, you need to get back to that area here. Research that area and get to that area as one of the reasons and causative etiology as to why the prostate gland and our males are so prone to cancer. And I personally believe, with my knowledge of it, Madam Speaker, and I'm sorry research will prove me right, is we got to get back to early sexually transmitted disease and being affected by it, especially some of them going untreated, predisposing us to, in our 60s and our 70s, to prostate cancer. So gentlemen, ladies, every one of us here, let us make sure we take care of our health. Let's make sure we don't allow these things to happen to us. And let's educate our children on those things, because it is painful to see our loved ones ailing with prostate cancer. I believe we can start right from there and stop that rot that's taking place in the country. Madam Speaker, in these few words, under 5 minutes, I'd like to say I thank the Honourable House and the listening population out there for really listening to some of what I have to share with you today, and to end by saying I would not like to be in opposition with a budget presented by the Honourable Prime Minister. I support it 100%, and it's the best budget I've seen for this government as we continue to reign in Dominica. I thank you very much.